As Nwankwo went down, he was arrested by Danjuma's soldiers, disarmed, his shoes taken off, and he was made to sit on the floor. Every other person that emerged from the main building was treated the same way, and no one returned to the building to brave Fajuyi and Ironsi of what transpired downstairs and what transpired around the compound. Fajuyi then decided to come down by himself. At this time, Danjuma had already advanced to the main building. As Fajuyi came down the staircase, he met Danjuma, who saluted him as a senior officer, but who immediately told him that he was under arrest. Fajuyi knew as a soldier that anything could happen to him at that point. He thus raised his hands and came down peacefully and asked Danjuma what he wanted. Danjuma responded, "We want to arrest the head of state and leave the government house with him." It is reported that Fajuyi pleaded with Danjuma not to go up with armed soldiers, that he was going to go up and call Ironsi for him, but that he, Danjuma, should please guarantee him the safety of Ironsi, who was his guest. Danjuma guaranteed the needed safety, and Fajuyi went upstairs to discuss with Ironsi, but did not return to Danjuma immediately. Danjuma then climbed up with a grenade in his hands. He met Ironsi with Fajuyi, discussing together, and Danjuma immediately told Ironsi that he was under arrest and gave him the order to stand up immediately. Reluctantly, Ironsi, a most senior officer to Danjuma and the military head of state at the time, stood up as was commanded by this military major, T.Y. Danjuma. At this time, the soldiers that came with Danjuma were on hand to obey whatever was required of them by Danjuma. They were poised for a showdown. Ironsi was led downstairs and forced into a waiting vehicle. Fajuyi also entered the vehicle, and both of them were driven out to an unknown destination. That was the last time these two men were seen alive together. They were driven to a place called Lalukman on the outskirts of Ibadan, where they were shot, killed, and buried in a shallow grave by their captors. It is reported that before they were eventually shot, the soldiers commanded Ironsi out of the vehicle into the bush for elimination. It is also reported Fajuyi ran between the soldiers and spread his hands begging them not to kill Ironsi. Fajuyi literally prevented them from shooting Ironsi for several minutes and kept begging them not to kill him. He repeated the intervention so much that the killers became frustrated and angrily fired shots into Fajuyi and Ironsi at the same time. Fajuyi is thus said to have died in defense of a friend and a compatriot. This event ended forever the lives, career, and times of the two of the earliest foreign-trained and highly experienced Nigerian military officers, General Johnson Aguiyi Ironsi and Colonel Adekunle Fajuyi. At the time of the coup, T.Y. Danjuma was only 26 years old. The smooth execution of the coup and the coordination between the officers in Ibadan and Lagos showed clearly that the coup had already been planned and was only waiting for an opportunity to strike. Ibadan only presented a perfect opportunity to strike and execute the coup. The officers that were eventually identified as the brains behind the coup from the Lagos flank were Lieutenant Colonel Murtala Mohammed, Lieutenant Ibrahim Babangida, Martin Adamu, Joseph Gaba, Nuhu Nathan, Malami Nasarawa, Paul Tafa, Musa Usman, 2nd Lieutenant Sanni Abacha, and Shitu Alau, and many others. Those from the Ibadan flank were Gaba Dada, Jeremiah Hussaini, and Lieutenant Ibrahim Bako. These officers from Ibadan flank were assisted by T.Y. Danjuma and William Walbe. Danjuma and Walbe were originally part of the Lagos group, but being part of General Ironsi's guard, they participated by default as they accompanied Ironsi on his official tour of the western region of the country. The Lagos group used the Ikeja barracks as their operational base, while the Ibadan group used the 4th Battalion as their operational base. It is reported that the trouble which ignited the coup started in the army barracks in Abeokuta, where some junior officers of the northern extraction opened fire and killed several officers of Igbo extraction who were seen having a meeting at the barracks on the night of Ironsi's arrival in Ibadan. Danjuma then seized the opportunity of the confusion of the moment to carry out the coup and remove Ironsi from power. Analysts have however queried the relationship between the killing of soldiers in an army barracks in Abeokuta and the arrest and eventual killing of the head of state in Ibadan.